Hello and welcome. You're watching the Policy Times Unleashing India Web Summit Series show. This is a very special show where we bring experts from different domains and we discuss the importance of that particular sector for national growth and national reincarnation. And this show is, as usual, chaired by Dr. P. Shekhar, who is a chairman of Global Smart Cities Panel and author of almost 80 books connected to national growth and national reincarnation. And he is also an architect of the concept called secure governance. He also has received an award from our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, for his contribution in the field of technology. And with him, I'm extremely happy and proud to again introduce one of again our well-wisher, Mr. Sunit Maheshwari, who is an independent director and international expert in the. So he's more known as infra finance evangelist. Now with him, we have Mr. MN R. Gupta, who is a global infrastructure management expert and CEO of Rigi Group, which is also into infrastructure, education, and all. Today's topic is enhanced role of global infrastructure industries for business reincarnation. We all know that the role and contribution of business in today's society is unparalleled, and Dr. Shekhar will share, I think, a PPT on that. Now, I have a couple of questions I'll pose to the panel, and then Dr. Shekhar will chair this program. Is what is our level of infrastructure? How can India have the world-class infrastructure? But most pertinent question is how do we raise innovative financing for better infrastructure in the country? And how can we promote PPP, private public partnership in infrastructure development? These are the couple of areas that Policy Times has worked and me myself has worked before to also help government find innovative ways of financing and promote PPP in the country. Now, without taking any more time, I want to invite Dr. P. Shekhar to kindly chair the session. Dr. Shekhar, if you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, this is the 18th session and second in the line of infrastructure. Infrastructure being a very vast field, there may be many more such events. Infrastructure, what do we exactly mean by the word infrastructure? Yes, we have two very big experts, but still I'll make a small effort to define it properly. Now, nature has given us land and water. And what we make out of the land and water is what we create the infrastructure. When we say infrastructure, means every aspects of whatever we have done about the land and on water, with land, or the infrastructure development. Then we understand the vastness of what are we talking. Now, this infrastructure includes something like telecom, something like IT, something like ICT, something like island conservation. So many things are there, and that is all infrastructure. It will be tough to talk of all the points in one go, so we will touch on a broad basis. What I have done is I have just made a few slides. These are all published documents. So to just run through the whole thing. Yeah. Now, India, as we say, is a country, when we say we are 206 countries put together, almost 70% of the world's countries put together is India. And with this population, with this thing, there are so two aspects of looking at it, which I will not go into the depth. Now, from the world point of view, we are talking of one person who has spent much of his time abroad and come to India, and one person who has spent in India and abroad both. He has been a global infrastructure person. So this is something like a global. We are talking of $94 trillion the total amount required for global infrastructure. This particular presentation or few slides are there for India and international. So these are all divided between various countries. Now, these are various sectors. When we say infrastructure is power, telecom, airport, seaport, railport, roads, water, etc., etc., etc. It goes on and on. And in everywhere we need things to go, and this will be a permanent requirement of funds, manpower, skills, and what it does for the development of the humankind, so that this is not overdone at the cost of greenery of the world. Yes, infrastructure also destroys the greenery of certain places, which has to be taken care now that there is a huge awareness of the greenness, the need of greenness. Now we are coming directly from the globe to India. India, as usual, is doing good, but nowhere near as good as it should be. That's why we are all going to have a very interesting session now. Here also, we are talking of $4.5 trillion. These are all question of how we look at this number and what are we going to do. Here again, divided into various subsectors, and then these are certain matrices I will draw. Now I'll send just one or two slides on this COVID case because these are all post-COVID how it should be. Now COVID, the interesting portion is even when we go to various types of death, COVID doesn't even come in anywhere near the top. But COVID has created that fear. COVID has created that destroyed the economy. So infrastructure is the one which will get affected, but which can do a lot for the welfare of the world. So, what are we going to do post COVID? How are we going to take the economy up? And in all this thing, you would find that as we learn from our enlightened clients, huge thing will have to be done by the infrastructure sector. Now, today we will start with our friend Sunit Maheshwari. Sunit Maheshwari in infrastructure world does not need any introduction. He is a king of infrastructure in India. He has been in various important infrastructure companies. He has been an advisor to government. He has been an advisor to association, and he has also set up one of the most premier banks for infrastructure and finance. And I would like him to start the show. And then our MNR Gupta. MNR Gupta also I'll introduce right now only because it's better to so that the continuity will be maintained. MNR Gupta is one of my favorite boys, but he's quite a uh, renowned person. He's a global infrastructure expert. He has spent almost about 15 years in some of the largest projects, mainly in African countries. And with respect to him, at least I would like him to spend first 3-4 minutes on himself. Sunit Maheshwari doesn't need much introduction. He can directly go to the topic. That liberty I can have. But whereas when it comes to MNR, maybe a few minutes you can spend on yourself, your achievements, and then start with it. So Sunitji, with respect to your take on infrastructure development, with respect to, as Akram said, where will the funds come? How will the funds come? There are corrections which are required in the thinking of the government, in thinking of the infrastructure companies. Nobody better than you to advise and tell. Sunitji, speak. Speaker.
Yeah, now you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for the superlative introduction as usual that you give. But yeah, one has spent a lot of time in infrastructure and in several sectors: telecom, power, petroleum, roads. So one of the things that a few statements I'll make from where we can just build on, and I'll just take a few minutes to see. The point is that any country, India is no exception, uh, its basic strength or backbone is the strength of its infrastructure. Okay, and India has been trying to catch up on that because for several years, almost the first 50 years of independence, we did not focus so much on infrastructure. The entire focus was on planned economy, so everything was planned. We were not supposed to have too many needs and wants. I mean, why buy two cars? Why? I mean, car was considered as a luxury good. So air travel till recently has been considered as a luxury thing. So I think our whole perspective of a planned economy has now changed, and it's all demand led, and it is sustainable. And so our expectations out of infrastructure have changed. Whatever we have, is pretty much old and needs to be rejuvenated. I think one landmark project that actually showed the impact of what infrastructure can do to the country is the Golden Quadrilateral project, which Vajpayee ji launched. And in that tenor, when NDA was there, it was considered as a golden period. And that golden period came primarily because of infrastructure expenditure. Infrastructure creates jobs, demand for steel, cement, goods, and services. So it has a tremendous multiplier impact, and that feel good factor of the economy at that was there. So today, if India has to get out, and by the way, that is true for most of the other parts of the world as well, they have to focus on infrastructure, and everybody is doing so. I mean, we think US has a very great infrastructure, but let me tell you, its highways and its transmission grid infrastructure is dated in 1950s and 60s. So it is there also. They will need to spend trillions of dollars on infrastructure. So I want to divide two parts of the conversation in this. The first part I will not spend so much because I think our friend here, Guptaji, will be able to throw some more light. But by and large, I have seen that Indian firms don't participate in overseas opportunities of infra projects. We have some very good capability, but we are not present everywhere. Maybe in small bits and pieces, L&T is there in Middle East and a few other places, but not. It's not a major presence. Whereas if you look at the overseas firms, they are there in a big way and they take advantage of it because that way you are creating export income. Maybe you're creating a service income, and you are also bringing around new skills, some new technique you learn somewhere else. You bring that back to your own country. So I think I notice this that India's engineering firms have not focused on a lot of offshore capabilities or offshore opportunities. In two parts, one, probably there is so much opportunity in India that they didn't have to look outside, which I don't think is a good strategy. They should have 20-25% of their revenues from overseas. The second part of the problem is that probably they didn't have the financial strength to bid for many of these projects. When you are bidding for large overseas projects, you need to have that much network, etc. So very few firms had that. There was only one another firm who was bidding for offshore jobs, and that was Punj Lloyd. But they ran into a problem, and today they are not a healthy company. So out of India, the only firm that probably bids for EPC jobs anywhere in the world is probably L&T, which is out of the such a large country and with such a lot of capability, we are able to send only this, which is unfortunate. Having said that, most of the engineering companies in Middle East and Africa and elsewhere have Indians employed there. Who are their key engineers? They're Indians. So I think there's an interesting message here, which we need to reflect and see how how Indian firms can benefit from the opportunities that are there overseas. But I focus on to the other large problem, and I'll just take 2 minutes on that, and then we will come back to it later on. Yes, I mean we wanted to cover how we can attract more money into infrastructure, etc. And yesterday, RBI governor also made a comment that for the kind of $4.5 trillion of investment needed till 2030 as per Niti Aayog, he feels that banks and they will not be able to cater to the demand for the investment needed. But I think we need to step back today. I mean, I'm saying this with a little bit of current contemporary experience. If I ask somebody from overseas that you want to spend, would you like to invest in Indian infrastructure? And if it is a new project, then except for solar or renewable energy, except for that area, they are reluctant to participate in Indian infrastructure. And their first message is okay. The second thing is, if you look at the amount of stressed cases in India that are there in that have been there, they're largely in infrastructure. So the message that many of the overseas investors are saying that if Indians can't make money in India, then am I mad to come and invest in India? So I think that's a very, very powerful message that I hope the government takes note of. That if you want to attract foreign capital, first Indians have to look happy. They should be making money. People go to a different market to invest only when they realize that they can make money. So they're not coming here for charity. Of course, we are not saying they should make uh, usurious profits, but everybody expects a decent income. And what is considered decent income is another interesting issue. Overseas, looking at they're getting returns of 44%. And if you add countries and exchange fluctuation and all that activity, that comes to about 6%. Roughly. So if anybody from any other country must be at a threshold level of 9%. At 9% return is saying, I go to India and make so much, etc. From my country, I will go there 10%, I will go there for some slightly higher return. Okay, and that's where this whole thing of risk pricing comes in. Now, India infrastructure projects, I think we have to attack far more money Number one, infrastructure project in a PPP format with 20 or 25 years of PPP term. You give out some conditions. You know, in 3 to 5 years time, market changes, the economy changes. So some of the conditions that you entered with at the beginning of 5 years, you need to revisit because the economy of the world has changed. Now, if somebody signed let's say, a PPP contract a few years back, and his road project started to do tolling January, suddenly after March, the traffic has gone down. Is probably many of the places you can't toll. So, what is that project going to do? It's going to become sink because he won't be able to service his interest income. So now we haven't developed mechanism in India to handle such deviations. So I would call them because the same conditions cannot remain as long as the developer is not getting away with money. It was changed. Just give you an example of this road project that I talked about. If this year 9 months in the washout for in a road project, then all that the government will have to do, and it should do suo moto. because of anything else. And so the second is that in a long contract, 25 years, in the PPP means partnership. But if you look at it as a contract that's saying, look at how you can make changes in a particular project without giving the developer take what I call as regulatory and policy risk and economy risk of a totally different kind. So I think my sense is we can you spend, somebody incomes, and then again investable surplus comes. So it's a velocity of money. $4.3 trillion will come from Indians, and it will also come from overseas. Because if they see that we are making money, then there are not too many economies around the world that is growing at 6% plus. One of the requests I would have is for he's got looked at projects overseas, and we would like to understand how is it
Yeah, I think there has been an infrastructure problem of telecom here. You know, some of the second portion of whatever Suniji said could not be heard. So maybe something has to be repeated in the second half or something.
second
So,
half full was not there. So I
yeah,
am only saying I'm
no,
only
no, what
saying
happened?
that
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just saying that Gupta ji will be able to help
no,
us understand the offshore experiences
correct.
and see how we can apply. What is it that we learn from that for India?
Yeah, Gupta ji. Now, what I would request is that first few minutes, you should talk about yourself, your achievements abroad, and then what are things which are being done abroad which are very good, and how to duplicate. I know that you have started working in India very recently. So, how do we duplicate the models here? How do we learn from them, and how do we take things forward? MNR Gupta. Sound. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Sekhar, for the wonderful opportunity. Actually, my name is Gupta. I did my MTech in NIT Warangal. I'm the Distinguished Alumni Professional Achievement Award winner. I did my MBA in Symbiosis International University in Business Management. I have around 25 years of experience in infrastructure, education, and many sectors. At present, I am the CEO Global for the Rigi Group of companies from Europe. Our headquarters is in Italy. I got around 82 international awards in my career. I was selected as Person of the Year along with PV Sindhu KTR in year 2019. And in this year, I was selected as the most influential Telugu person of the decade. I was handling the most prestigious projects of women history, and I was heading some of the prestigious projects includes development of infrastructure for $6 billion Soha Port and $20 billion Salala Port, Oman Saudi Highway, Subai Fishery Harbor and all. And I was contributed in Oman for 17 years, and Oman reached number 8 in the world in the infrastructure rankings. And Muscat also as selected as a second best city in the world. And I was the only one person in the world who got the Woman King Award for Excellence in Leadership and Infrastructure on his letterhead in last 100 years history. So I was part of the many challenging and tough projects in my career. And I am very fortunate and thankful to Woman King for all the opportunities he has given me in last 17 years. And I just would like to share a few of my insight regarding the global infrastructure, where India is lacking and where they need to focus more and more to attract more FDIs and all. In project management and infrastructure management, time is the money. And the most important thing, when you're completing the project in time, in budget, that makes the trust for the investors and all. Women, they have focused a lot of emphasis on bringing all the FDI investment, and even if, for example, you see Sohar Port development and Salala Port, that business model is a collaboration model. For example, Oman government gave the land for the investors, and it's a one-stop solution. For example, there is no hassles for the investors to get the permissions, and for example, anybody is entering Soha Port for the investment. In 1 month, they get all the required permissions from single window. So this is our attracting point, and there is a lot of tax benefits they are giving, and there are so many investor friendly policies also they have developed. What makes the investors more attractive? They have done a detailed study, and accordingly they have done the road shows. Then they have contacted all the embassies and global investors, and they did so many investor summits across the globe, and they attracted the right people to do the investment and all. No investor is interested in wasting his time only getting the necessary permission from various authorities and in India, we need to work on this particular thing like red tapeism and bureaucracy. Here, the system is so complicated, and you need to spend years together to get the necessary permissions and all. I, I have I have attended so many meetings with the global investors on behalf of women government. I was asked to deal with the global investors and all. The global investor mindset is always how fast we can get the ROI on the investment which he is making. So nobody is interested to follow our Indian style or Indian methodology or Indian ideology. When investor is coming out of 200 countries where I can get better rate of return, I will go to that country and do the business. As simple as that. So the need of the hour in India is, we need to show the brand India to the rest of the world, to show that yes, we are very professional country, we are very practical country, and we can do the much bigger project than any other country in the world. India, one of the top country in the world with the highest intellectuals on this earth. If you see the kind of talent India is having, the kind of engineers, the kind of expert. Being an Indian, I'm always proud to be an Indian. I always love to show India's achievements when I was in abroad also, not that it's MNR's achievement. Whatever I have achieved, I just proud to be an Indian, and I showed that I keep the Indian flag flying. So what we need to develop is we need to start creating global brand for India in infrastructure sector. Some of the meetings I attended in abroad, their potential is worth $100 billion, and they even want to start with $1 billion investment in infrastructure and started doing the things and all. But the people who represent meetings with those investors and all has to be very professional, and there must be some department like investment authority has to be created from India, and exclusive focus has to be made, and experts like Dr. Shekhar and Mr. Sunit myself, those kind of people has to pitch those opportunities with the investors, because when you are doing the branding and presentation, it has to be done by the expert and specialists in that respective field that is missing for India. So when due to that problem, that initial trust we could not able to build with the investors, because investors always look viability of the project, the most important thing. There are two things in any infrastructure management. One is the technicality and another is the viability. Even we are technically very sound also, we need to convince the investor for whatever investment he is giving 20 to 25 years, it is worth to invest in this country, and there is a fixed rate of returns and all, and we need to prove it in practically. So what we can do, our government, we can do, this is the right time where everybody is in panic situation across the globe and all. Still I feel like India is much better than China and any other countries, because I have worked with 100 to 200 nationals in my professional career and all. Here, only thing is we need to grab the opportunities in this present market, and we need to conduct investor summit. Even we can go for digital investor summit, where under leadership of Dr. Shekhar and Sunit Maheshwar, and we can call all the global investors and we can pitch 10 to 20 ideas, for example, roads, ports, airports, where there is more rate of return, specific projects we can take, and we can do that in a webinar and step-by-step process, and we can create the trust and interest for the all global investors, because the investor must have a clarity. What is the FDA policy of India? What is the foreign direct investment policy Indian government is giving? What kind of sovereign guarantees they are giving to these particular investors? And we need to explain them how much security is their investment also. I have seen so many government in India, they're paying 16 to 18% interest rate for various funding authorities. I really don't understand why we should do that. In abroad, whoever I have interacted, even they're ready to give you for a 3 to 5% interest rate. Even you give for hedging also, the overall cost is 9%. India is saving 18%. So instead of wasting our time with all these high-end interest projects and all, we can optimize our time, resources, and efforts by pitching into the most important projects of the country. Like we can take 3, 4 projects and we can focus on it, and we can pitch it to the investors, and we can get it and show it as a successful. Then the whole investors queue will be there for India, because unfortunately everybody is trying to show India as a negative destination, including our media. No thanks to media and newspaper. When I was in abroad, I see the situation. Woman is always, Woman, UAE, and all those countries are highlighting their positive achievements every day, and even in the social media, if you see their Twitter and all, everywhere the particular government achievement, if even a small medal they get in a district level and all, they put in the front page of the thing, and they just motivate, inspire their nationalities and do the thing. But if you see in India, unfortunately, here there is no recognition for talent. Sorry to say that, this is the fact. And if somebody is trying to do the benefit, 10 people try to pull the leg back. And this is a time we need to change our style of doing the things, and we have to adapt to the European style of 100% transparency, ethics, integrity, and value. Then nobody, even America, cannot beat India if India is strong in this transparency. What is missing in India? Transparency and ethics in doing this kind of big project, where all those investors from European and US cultural, they are worked with this kind of structure where 100% ethics, transparency, value system they follow on day-to-day basis. So the moment India come to this mode of win-win situation, instead of lose-win, lose-lose, and lose-win situation which they are following now, it is not for one person and few person benefit. It's as a country, we need to show as a strong brand in front of everybody, and this needs a lot of groundwork has to be done. And I strongly recommend under Dr. Shekhar and Maheshwari, we can bring all the like-minded NRIs and global infrastructure experts under one form, where Dr. Shekhar is already running, and we can try to help the Indian government in pitching the investors to the India, and I am ready to help, support, and cooperate, and I really would love to see India is #1 in the world. So some of the proposals, whatever I have given to the Indian government, Vishwa Bharat, to Mr. Modi, most of the proposals has been accepted and implemented by him, and one of my key proposals is to keep the storage of the petrol and project management authority. So I did research of around 25 years and around 100 doctorates I have worked, and I have been exposed to some of the concepts in the world. I have developed first time in the world proactive project management system, integrated transportation planning, and positive change management. These are the concepts which are successfully implemented for 100 country people. This can be also implemented for India, and we have implemented those concepts there very successfully and attracted 1 lakh crore investment for Oman government. And all the projects, whatever I have handled in 25 years, completed in time, quality, and budget. So this is another biggest challenge India is facing now. Because of the lapse of the time, government is losing lakhs of crores. For example, projects like Polavaram projects and all, this is going for decades together because of the lack of coordination, communication, and lack of proper project management systems and all. So we need to come out of this all world systems which is not producing the result, and we need to adapt this system like integrated transportation planning and proactive project management. When I was international keynote speaker for 1 lakh crore project in Oman, I got the special award for my presentation on integrated transportation planning and proactive project management. All international experts accepted my ideology and methodology, which I have proposed there for optimization of time, energy, and resources. And we practically implemented in Oman in each and every project this integrated transportation planning and proactive project management, where we have managed to broke 12 world records. And every project has been completed without last time incident when I was the in charge. I am the authorized representative of government of Oman and authorized signatory for all those projects also. So these systems, safety, health, and all is very very important for this project management. One way what government can focus is to reduce this delays of the project and save all that money. They can use it for the new projects instead of wasting money for one old project and all. And by adapting this proactive project management and integrated transportation planning, this whole concept I can support the government how to do it and how to implement all the process system everything. I can help even conducting the training session for all the R&B departments and national highway department, everybody. And if something can be useful for the world's 8th ranked infrastructure ranked country in the world, I hope the same thing can be implemented for India also, because we are talking something which is already proven and implemented by more than 100 country nationals. This is the need of the hour. We need to manage our infrastructure projects in much efficient and effective manner to reach the world class standard. Because any investor, when he wants to invest in India, one is the ROI he is looking for, and second thing is the infrastructure. Even Oman got so much huge investments because Oman King has focused a lot for last 40 years in developing world class infrastructure, roads, world class ports, world class airports. If you see Oman, this beautiful country, and it's one of the top 10 tourist destinations in the world. Nothing has happened in overnight, but with the vision and mission, they worked continuously and developed world-class infrastructure. Because when the investor is entering any country, he expects that that country must have the world-class roads, world-class airports, and world-class ports. And at the same time, the return, because it is not only just he come and do the investment and start one factory or something. He need to do the import and export of all the goods and all. They check end-to-end process of the whole system scenario, and they forecast for next 25 to 30 years. So our country has to be ready for all those things. We have all the capability to do the things, but the way these foreign countries follow, for example, woman has an advisor for every sector, like right fisheries, agriculture, infrastructure, transportation, engineering. I was advising the government on road safety, transportation, infrastructure, engineering for 17 years, and I steered them to the number 8 in the world. And so this way, in for example, when you are in IT sector and all, you are following the best in the world, Microsoft, Google, and Facebook, what are they doing and implement. And we are going ahead with the digital India. This digital India concept also I have proposed to Dr. Abdul Kalam in 2003 to reduce the red tapeism and all, and even online railway reservation system. And Mr. Kamath also I proposed this banking from home system 10 years before itself. I am very happy. Those systems are very successful systems for last 15 years, and Mr. Chandrababu Naidu implemented all the proposals given by me for 16 years. That includes Mission Amaravati and Investor Summit, 4 years continuously conducted in Vishakhapatnam. So we need to take initiative and start doing all this process immediately with the top priority, because America is number 1 in the world because of their infrastructure. And now because of this corona, this our GDP is coming down day by day, and all. If we want to maintain the GDP growth and all, it's very, very important that the infrastructure spending must be done huge manner by the government of India, and it's very, very important that they have to attract all these FDI investments for infrastructure on top priority basis by creating the investor friendly policies. Otherwise, this is a huge impact on Indian economy, and economy will suffer a lot and all. But I strongly request and Indian government to consider this point, the need of the hour to attract the FDIs, because the moment you are entering FDI and your interest burden will be low, and most of the FDIs are there not only just working on debt model and all. Sometimes this some of the companies in the world where we worked, 40,000 crores they invested in Saudi railway project, and billions of dollars they have invested in other countries also. You can go in that kind of models also, where debt is not required and investor is putting investment and handling the thing for 25 years, 30 years for a period, for a lease or something, where government no need to spend any money. What's the problem if they go for this thing? So government must explore all these things. What happens when they explore all these things of equity based investment models and all those things, and this kind of things from FDI, it will create a lot of employment for the youth of this country, as well as this will help the lot of cash flow in the system. When the moment we get the cash flow in Indian economy and exports and imports, and a lot of businesses also develop. For example, when they did Soha port, nobody knows what is Sohar 15, 20 years before. It's just a barren land of 10,000 acres on a seashore. More than 10 million trees burnt, and we built the Soha port in just 3 years. Government took 20 years to plan that one. So because of that Soha port, so many industries, supporting industries who are coming in Soha port, for example, refineries, Woman polypropylene plant, and this so many factories they have started in the port, and even L&D modular fabrication had L&D heavy engineering. These are some of the things they started. Immediately, those industries, they need some more raw material and products and all. So very nearest Sohar industrial estate, so many industries also, small scale SMEs also started to support these big industries of Sohar refinery, Oman refinery company, and this thing and all. So Sohar port and Sohar became a financial hub of the country because of this development. Only infrastructure only can bring the economic growth, employment, and cash flow for India at this moment of the time and all. So these are the things must be explored, and some strategic location of ports in India, across India, they can, government can select it, and they can start developing, and in a Sohar port model and Salala port model, and they can even, for example, Jabalali port is charging so much high money. Sohar port started giving with less money, so all the traffic diverted from Jabalali, from Dubai to Sohar port, and Sohar port, they are fastest growing port in the world, and it is in collaboration with Port of Rotterdam. They have done it, and even Salala port also they have done like this way. So this collaboration model is the need of hour for India, especially for infrastructure sector. They can identify the few players like this, like Port of Rotterdam, and who is the best in the world and all, in every sector, agriculture or infrastructure, whatever it may be. So we can leverage the strength of all of their research, their experience and expertise to optimize our resources, time and all, because we don't have time to start all the research what US, Europe has been done in developing world-class port and all. So by just collaborating with all of them, we can complete all the projects fast track, as well as when we are doing in collaboration with this kind of players, this will attract attention of the global investors as well. For example, 5 to 10 projects we are announcing, and this BBC World is telecasting, CNN is telecasting. India has joined hands with Facebook, and Google is a sensation. Why only IT, digital? Only Ambani is talking every time about IT. Why not infrastructure? We can do the same for infrastructure also, like the way Ambani ji, he has done equity stake for this Facebook, Google, and so many things, and he became the first Indian company in world history to do infrastructure. Also, we can do 100 times more than what Mr. Ambani is doing, but nobody is pitching. Na? If I don't come and say in front of you what I have done, what is my capabilities, who am I, nobody will know. This is called branding. So India has to brand themselves. There is no other way unless you go and pitch. See, we have to brand ourselves to the right investors with a proper action plan. and with a vision and mission, and the guidance of experts like Dr. Shekhar and Mr. Maheshwari, and so many NRIs also we pulled out. I am the founder of Global CEO Network and Global Women Entrepreneur. I am the global chairman for CMSME also. So there are so many experts we already gathered for development of the country to come forward and put their experience, expertise, knowledge for our country and our states and all. So Indian government can use all of their expertise, experience, all their ideas. They can do the brainstorming session. Now we started this session today. I would like to ask Sekhar sir to continue the same mission vision like a tsunami and like a surgical attack. You continue and you bring all intellectuals, and even there are some platforms, gotomeeting.com, you can put 150 people at a time. So we can do this meeting at a time in 100 countries, and we can call one expert from one country, and even we can ask the investors also come and join. And this particular mission, if we start and we can take it forward on behalf of Indian government, and after everything we build the solid brand of India, then we will take them to government in the last step for signing of the MOU. This is the one of the best way we can do. This is what I used to do for government of Oman. I can do the same for India. I don't need any monetary benefits or something. But I expect India to be number one in the world. I want to see India is Vishwabharat all the time and all. So this all the latest technology and latest methodology, and you need to upgrade. See, for example, US and the UK spend a lot of money on research and developing various methodologies. For example, when you lay a road, when you lay a bridge, now we are getting precast methodology and so many things which can save time, energy, and effort. So India can always experiment by using all the latest innovation in the world. We should always keep innovating ourselves to see how can we reduce the cost of these projects, how can we improve the quality to world class standards, and we have to do it and show to it rather than talking in the newspaper, because most of the time our projects are in the paper like Amravati where it is in the TV channel. But I told several times during my meetings with chief minister's team that time also that it, we must prove and do deliver the project in reality, not on the paper or thing. That is the reason why our credibility is coming down. So we can start taking few projects, and we can use all these world's best techniques, world's best materials, and world's best standard from US and UK. Most of the infrastructure development and research is done by these two countries, US Transportation Research Board and UK also. So we can collaborate with these two countries, and we can do the, I even suggest the government of India to do the collaborative research. Not only the collaboration in the project management, they have to do the collaboration research. For example, our IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, our NITs can do the joint collaboration with US universities and UK university to develop some new innovation and thing like alternatives for the fuel. For example, our biggest bottleneck for Indian economy is we are importing the fuel. So now the electric cars is the need of the hour and all. For example, if this kind of research everybody doing independently, instead of that, you can do the joint collaboration research with those countries. This will help economy a lot, because India can save lakhs of crores of rupees, and we can pitch this electric car system slowly, gradually into the railways and this thing. But we have to start doing and experimenting, and we also don't know about solar unless we experiment and do the pilot. Now we understand and we are going large scale. Who knows? Maybe this electric cars also they can revolutionize the process in which in India we do the business. And if we can come out with the best technology from best brains of IIT and all, India can beat the best in the world, as well as even we can produce those things from India and we can export to other countries. Why not? So research and development, every country, US, UK, Oman, they spend a lot of money and time efforts on the R&D for that country. This is the one area India needs to put a lot of focus there. So this kind of research and development in project management, infrastructure management, and all the world-class systems. See, any project will run by process, system, procedure, and SOP. So this, once we develop that particular methodology, and if we can implement one pilot project and make it successful, we can implement to all our national highway projects and even all the irrigation projects which are presently ongoing in the country. And most important thing, Modi ji must focus on completing all the ongoing projects in a very fast track manner, and use this methodology which I suggested, integrated planning and project to project management, which help to complete the $46 billion infrastructure projects in time with all with safety and this thing. This will solve the problem. And this is all, everything is integrated together. World-class infrastructure, investor summit, professionalism, integrity, everything has to done parallelly. Then overall effect together, then investor will come and say, oh, so much is happening in India. Oh, India is a place to invest, and definitely we should come, and the brand will create. The moment we create the brand India, investors will come to us. We need not go to any investor. But where is the effort to create the brand India and to showcase our highlights and achievements? We need to start now. Better late than never. And we have to conduct this digital investor summit, and we have to pitch what are the highlights, because Modi ji came and he brought so many economic reforms and so much development India is witnessing in last, what we did not see in last 75 years. But this is also one of the sector Modi ji can focus is, and focus on digital investor summit, and bringing proactive project management and integrated transportation planning in implementation of the project, and getting the projects for lesser debt rates of less than 10%. That is also saving. If you, why you should go 15-16% and all, if you're saving 50% of the interest rate, India can save lakhs of crores of rupees when you consider overall the thing and all. So we can do a one global investor summit also as soon as the corona finish. But at least till that corona panic goes, we can continue the digital meetings and digital interactions in a continuous manner till we reach our mission. That is also will solve the issue. My point of view is that we can take care, help of all the NRI experts across the globe. I can also help in this mission, Mr. Bharat, where certain areas need to be developed in top priority basis with world-class standards and all. So everything is possible. The big journey starts with a small step. We are Indians. We have the best brains in the world. Nobody can beat for many centuries. And this thing, one corona or one swine flu cannot make India down or something. We'll bounce back 100%. We work together as one team. We grow together, and we show the power of India. Proud to be an Indian. I hope my time is finished. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Very interesting and very good emotional and practical pitch. The take home is that there are so many Indians, which Sunit also pointed out, that that even when a foreign company does something abroad, it is also Indians which is doing, and we are all in almost number one position intellectually, but we as a team have not succeeded, and we cannot just simply have any excuses from now on. And with corona being whatever damage it has done, we have to doubly rake up ourselves, rake up, and also excel. Now in this last segment, I would like Sunilji, your second portion of the talk did not was not heard, so if you can slightly elaborate on that, we'll extend it a little, and maybe and delete that portion.
It is,
Maybe
it is
you can enlighten so that
yes,
we are the same view.
summarizing the thing that there is that if we can debug and remove, Gupta ji also talked about too many clearances, too many hurdles in the way. If we can simplify the approval process, we can simplify any change required because some new fact comes out. Either, let us say COVID happens in between while you are bidding. So you have to plan for it, or for that matter, some cyclone or something happens in that particular area, you have to plan for it. So as long as the change is not because of developers' interest, and it is required because of the project, because something has changed in and around in the economy, we should be able to handle these changes. And in a 25-year concession, sometimes there will be some disputes, and those disputes we must expeditiously handle. Today we have an arbitration, then we have a high court hearing, then we have a Supreme Court hearing, and then after Supreme Court hearing, the Supreme Court hearing has to go to the board of that concessioning authority. Then they will pontificate over it. So we ad nauseum delay these things. And we have to understand that today, if India is not finding investment, it is the price of these layered approvals and inability to make changes even when, let's say, common sense demands it, and how to handle disputes. So I think that is one. I think Gupta ji talked about Sohar, and let me just highlight how some countries have done, for example, with imports. One of the earlier examples was Westport. Westport is a port done by Tamasri Nyamlingam. He's an Indian settled in Malaysia, and he was given the charge of he bid for this port, and they told him that this is a national project. You have to develop Westport because nearby Singapore port is there, and it is a very strong port. You have to develop this port as a national project. So you know what he said? He said, "Okay, give me land, extra land for which I will not pay anything." Then what he did, because that time the world was going under some recession, he gave this land to all the shipping companies to keep what they call as empties. All these empty containers, they had no place to keep. And everybody charges for it. He said, I'll give it to you free. Now, look at the long side. So for 3-4 years, nobody used these containers. But when the ship got any container load, he had to come to Westport to take those containers and get them filled up. So you understand. So because that yard, container yard, which was free, so they took a call, and probably the cost of that will come out when you amortize its cost over 35, 40 years. You have to take a long view when you are trying to establish. Sohar, for example, is saying, they are reducing cost. Obviously, they're going to reduce, they're not going to make money in the near future, maybe they will reduce cost, but they will build traffic. And once you build traffic, you attract traffic, then the propensity of the traffic to change when rates start going up is much less. And I think we have to remember that when it comes to infrastructure, how we have complicated our infrastructure because we wanted to give 15-year concession periods. Okay. For a, let's say, power project, we were giving 15, 20 years concession. Whereas a power plant is built for 25, 35 years. Okay. That's a thermal power plant is maybe 25, 30 years. But if you build a hydro project and you give a 20-year concession, it is mighty stupid because a hydro plant is there for 50 years. So, so we have complicated matters and made infrastructure more expensive for us, and therefore unable to compete with global economies. वो एकदम क्या बोलते वो कालिदास था ना, वो अपना वही सेम ब्रांच पे बैठ के काट रहा था. So we have done basically that. We have started to increase costs, etc. So when an infrastructure project is made, it is made for a very long time, and we need to have a concession keeping that long period in mind, and therefore the cost that every year has to bear, the cost of that infrastructure capex will become lesser, and therefore it will become more affordable. We are not thinking on those lines. For example, we are thinking of private airports, but our overflight costs in India are one of the highest. Parking charges are one of the highest. Okay, so fortunately, Karachi or Colombo has not built, or for that matter, it may be Dhaka airport tomorrow, or it may be Rangoon. If they build one big airport, it will take away traffic from India. What was Singapore done? Singapore is one city. There weren't too many people going there. The entire strategy of Singapore is that it built itself as a transshipment hub, a global scale infrastructure, port, and a global scale airport, much larger than the number of passengers. If you tomorrow want to go to Australia, most likely you will have a changeover in Singapore. So I think we have to take a very long-term view, and I think some of the things that he's talking about. So one of the thoughts that we had given to government some time back, and I hope they do that, is when you think of a project, create an SPV, get all approvals into it, and then bid it out. Because when a private sector goes to get a government right of way or land, some change in land use, it takes that person more time. So we are saying let the government take all the approvals, all the land allocation, etc., create the SPV. They use this for UNPP, but they haven't used this technique for other areas. And I think that is one way of minimizing this approval problem and going forward. The second thing, I think, Sekharji, it has a message in you know your entire strategy of such self-governance that you talked about, which is if a country or if a government is giving some benefit to a project, let them price it as their equity stake. Okay, so there's no cash outgo, but if there is an upside later on, they will get the benefit of it. They are not going to lose. But what happens? They start pricing it in the first place. Land will be this much, that will be this much. It doesn't work. That's some very short-sighted. In 2008, when the global crisis hit in Singapore, you know what was Singapore government's response? And I'm sure no government in India would think of that. They looked at all land lease rates to all the developers, real estate developers, and all other players who were there. And they said, the economy is bad, your business is bad. So they reduced the land lease rates. Would India would have done that? No. When the economy picks up, see, the most important thing in any economy for the Indian or any government is creation of jobs, creation of capital surpluses for further investments. But we are trying to be penny wise, pound foolish, price something today. Like, let's say if it's a hospital project, and in Bombay, I want to price the land to a hospital project. Don't you think healthcare will become more expensive?
No.
Today, for COVID hospitals, we have taken MMRDA land, which has no price. Would any private sector could have easily done it, but they would price it. So I think we have to take a view on, and we are being very short-sighted in this. So we should take a larger view and a longer view of things. Infrastructure is definitely to be handled somewhat differently, and we must not look at immediate gains. There's so much money to come in India. There's so much money in India itself that it's not even funny. I've always said that one temple in Kerala had 1 lakh crores coming out of it. So you can imagine how much cash is there in India. So, I personally am quite hopeful. And I'm hopeful because this government has a lot of majority. So if they set their mind to it, they can change. I only hope that they can set their mind to it.
Thank you. So to conclude, I will also talk 2 minutes about secure governance, which is very, very important from an infrastructure point of view. Now, in secure governance, what happens is infrastructure, as I said, comes from land and water. Whatever we do, nature has given these two, and whatever we build is secure, is infrastructure. Now, the moment infrastructure comes or infrastructure is even planned, the rates around the infrastructure starts going up. And in secure governance, we capitalize that rate to build the infrastructure itself as free as possible, not free. That means the moment I conceive a road, the road value around the road goes up. So that value is captured to make the first portion of the road free or at a highly subsidized cost. Then again expand it, again expand it, again expand it. Same way when a port is to be built around that other infrastructure. That's why the smart city and infrastructure goes together. build mini smart city, nano smart city to a big smart city around any infrastructure, so that this becomes a highly self-sustained economy. Then the investor is also free, because investor also gets money because his investment has cost the rate of this thing. So that even if you reserve X amount of land near the infrastructure and build something and give, his repayment and his profitability is 100% guaranteed. At the same time, your own infrastructure comes free, because we find that any big infrastructure created, only 3% of the excess cost created by the infrastructure is actual infrastructure cost. Only 3%. So even if you assume 20%, still it is a win-win-win situation. So that being the case, that is what is the doctrine of secured governance, which is generally getting accepted in India and abroad. And that can be superimposed in much of the projects. And like we all have there's a global infrastructure summit. So as far as we are concerned, to conclude, we have to see our own Indians going abroad and creating, doing a lot of projects the way Sunita suggested. And like whatever our Gupta ji has said, that our own people should be very proactive. It cannot be highly bureaucratic infrastructure. Like both said, infrastructures are not 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. You cannot just put your 3-month moratorium on money given, and 3 months later somebody becomes an NPA. No, that's why 7-8 lakh crores is blocked, because the infrastructure doesn't pay in such a short time, whereas it pays huge dividends after a long time. And on top of it, if secure governance is imposed, it will be a real beautiful structure for India's economy to grow. And since we are still short of time, I'll conclude our portion. Akram can.
Thank you, Dr. Shekhar, for chairing this beautiful discussion. Infrastructure is core of everything. I mean, unless India builds a world-class infrastructure, the entire vision is incomplete, and we can't achieve that. There are a lot of challenges. Sunit Maheshwari sir has very nicely articulated the challenges that we have in the system, and he also gave the solutions, giving examples from Singapore and other countries. I felt when I worked with the Minister of Commerce during my tenure at India's leading chamber of commerces, we realized that the very concept of like private-public partnership is not becoming effective in India because of the excessive bureaucratic pressure. Because we need, and a lot of FDI that we need to bring from abroad also suffers from. So I think we need the speed is another factor. Speed is like today, the game is about which country has speed. Businessmen do not have patience to wait for anyone, whether they are politicians, bureaucrats, and everything. Business is business, and they have a lot of options anywhere in the world. If they don't have business in India, they have Vietnam, they have China, they have many other countries. So I think we need to introspect this and realize, and we can do it. We have everything. We are I think, the biggest brand in the world. India is the biggest brand in the world today to sell. And if we can sell it, we can achieve all that we envision and want. Thank you. If you like our programs, I saw a couple of nice comments in our YouTube channel. If you like our program, if you need or want this kind of developmental journalism that Policy Times does and has been doing consistently, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Keep watching the Policy Times.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
Asif,
Yes, sir.
अच्छा था, enjoyed Gupta ji? Enjoy, sir.
Gupta ji is emotionally, Gupta ji is not being recorded. Gupta ji is there's an emotional speech for India. He had a very good post.
What was my presentation, sir? I would like to listen.